All right, so go into Instagram and click go live in Instagram again.
Stream in progress.
Okay. You're back in.
Hi everyone. We are
back.
we're back today for
Yes.
this reading.
Okay, good. And are we on YouTube?
And we are on YouTube.
Let's find
We're
out.
on Instagram.
Are we
We're
there?
everywhere.
We're everywhere.
Hi everyone and welcome to the Tax Files.
Welcome back to the Tax Files.
Welcome.
Nice. And we have a new one today.
New case.
New case.
New case.
New case just dropped.
New case. Okay, so hi everyone, welcome to the Tax Files. So today we are reading a new case. It's a bit different than what we've done so far because this is an informal case. This is informal procedure at the tax court level, and it just came out last week. This is a 9th of July.
Okay, so we should tell our audience a little bit about informal procedure. What's going on here?
And so there's two kind of, procedure at the tax court. It's either a general procedure, all those big cases that we hear about would of course go to the general procedure, where there are strict evidence rules, where there is strict procedural rules, where you
Right.
have to do like list of documents, discovery, etc., etc. It's like full-fledged litigation. But there is also informal procedure, which is
Okay.
kind of the small claims court,
Right.
like we have at the Court of Quebec.
Yeah.
And it's also the same in the Court of Quebec if you want to do tax there and with Revenu Quebec, but this is a tax court. And so less than $50,000 in monetary value will get you to this informal procedure
Okay.
where the judge is not bound by evidence rules and procedural rules, except some general framework. But for example, you could give evidence that you could not necessarily give at the general procedure
Okay.
because it's a bit more relaxed.
Yeah. So, for example.
For example, if you have something international and you find a document from a foreign government, usually if it's not in French or in English,
Yep.
so the judge cannot understand the document.
Okay.
So under general procedure, you would have to find a jury linguist and have this official translation, and it would bring a lot of problems. But at the informal procedure, you could bring a AI translation or a Google Translate, and it could be accepted
Okay.
if it informs the court.
Okay.
It's very simple.
Is it self-represented only?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Most cases are either self-represented or represented by an accountant.
Okay.
Not necessarily a CPA, but like a tax preparer.
Okay.
Or you could go with anyone you want to represent
Can
you.
bring a friend.
Could be your friend.
Yeah. And so you might do this because the amount at stake is low,
Yes.
and you don't want to spend more in attorney fees than you are going to pay in taxes.
Well, you don't have a choice. If you fall under the informal procedure, that's
You're
it.
there.
It's
Okay.
informal.
It's not like a choice. It's
No.
just under that amount, you're in the informal
You're into
procedure.
informal.
Okay.
And you want to.
Good.
I think you want to be under the informal procedure if you can.
Yeah, okay.
It's way simpler.
Yeah, less dealing with evidentiary.
And I think
Niceties.
the opposite is quite a problem when you have small cases with a bigger monetary value with self-represented litigants, and you go into the general procedure. You have to do this list of documents, to serve the documents, to do discovery.
Yeah.
It's very complicated for someone without
Yeah.
a law degree
Yeah. Yeah.
or an accounting degree to some extent. I think some accountants can do it, of course. But it's going to be hard for a self-represented
Yeah.
to do general procedure.
Yeah.
So it's way easier under the informal. So this is informal. And
Okay,
why did we pick
and-
this one?
Well, before we get to that, there's a percentage of cases
Oh, yeah.
that are small versus large, or like
Yeah.
there's some
This is
statistic
interesting.
here.
Okay?
Yeah.
So these are the statistics that a judge of the court told at the CTF conference.
Okay.
And so the statistic goes as follows. So 80% of the number of the cases, so 80% of the cases
Yeah.
represent 20% of the monetary value at the tax court.
Okay.
So
So most of the cases
most
are
of the cases
small,
are very small.
small, really small,
Very small. So
which means the last 20% of the cases are
80% of the monetary value.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they're huge. They're either huge or
very small.
very small. Okay.
And that's pretty much it. There's no much in between, because it's either big planning by accountants or law firms
Yeah.
that is getting litigated,
Yeah.
or it's just, their childcare benefits, a credit,
Yeah.
something that went wrong, or you got reassessed and you disagree. But that's really, it's either a small case.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases that are small.
Yeah. Okay, so how do we pick this? Like I get emails every once in a while from the tax court. I signed up to the listserv, but you check the tax court website.
I check every week.
Yeah.
I go to the tax court website and I start reading the cases. Sometimes I stop reading the case because I'm not interested in the topic.
Okay.
Or I continue.
Okay.
And
you stop reading if?
Well, first, if it's GST. If it's GST.
Forget it. Forget
it.
I don't want to read it. Yeah, okay.
It's quite easy to know if it's GST, because I will give a good clue
Okay.
here about if it's
All
GST
right.
or not.
All right.
Do you see the docket number?
Yeah.
So if it's IT, it means income tax.
Yeah.
I might be interested in reading this.
Yeah.
But if it's GST, it means it's GST.
Is excise tax ET?
No, it's GST.
GST.
Yeah. So if you see like 2025 blah 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 GST,
GST. Okay.
GST. Don't read it.
All right.
Don't
So
read it.
if you see GST, you just keep moving. Forget about
what
it.
else?
Okay.
I usually wouldn't read like childcare benefits, stuff like that. COVID.
Right.
benefits.
Oh man, all this, what is it, CERB? I can't even remember.
Well,
all
sure,
the
will go to the federal court, but you have a
okay.
bunch of stuff at the tax court as well. It's a bit confusing.
Yeah. No thanks.
But no thanks.
Yeah.
Some credits. I don't really care. But if there is an international component,
Oh yeah,
I
then
will
you're
read
reading
it.
Yes,
Yeah, gotta read
absolutely.
it.
Yes, you have to
If it's
read it.
international, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this case is international. It's about withholding taxes, foreign
Okay.
withholding taxes,
Okay.
and foreign tax credit,
Foreign tax credit. Okay.
which is
right in our wheelhouse.
kind of rare that we
Yeah.
find a foreign tax credit case
Yeah.
in front of the courts.
Yeah, I can't remember reading any recently. So, okay. Well, let's find out what's going on here. And this is recent. This is like a couple of days ago.
Yeah, 9th of July.
July 9.
July 9th.
Okay. All right, here we
So
go.
let's read. So it's between Ariella Stern, Ms. Stern, the appellant, and His Majesty the King,
Yeah.
the respondent, by Justice Graham.
Justice Graham, and I think this is the first case we're reading by Justice Graham.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
So Ariella Stern is a Canadian resident. She holds investment accounts in the United States and Switzerland. When she filed her tax returns for her 2021 to 2024 taxation year, she claimed foreign tax credit in respect of withholding taxes paid on dividend income that she earned in those accounts. The Minister of National Revenue denied the credits and Ms. Stern appealed.
Okay.
So this is quite fast, eh? We've got 2021 to
Yeah,
2024.
actually, extraordinary. That's amazing. So if the year is 2024, you're getting assessed in
You're getting a judgment in under 2 years?
yeah, because you would have been assessed in 25.
Yeah.
Within a year, you're already have a dispute and resolved. Is that because it's informal that it's going faster?
I mean, I think it's really the CRA getting incredibly fast.
Just getting right down to it.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know that the CRA can move fast sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I mean, this is not what I'm
No,
hearing
this is
from
not
the
what I-
practitioners, but
No, they talk about years and years and years, but I think the last time I remember taxpayers talking about how long it took for things to happen was the BNS trial.
but come on, it's transfer pricing.
Yeah.
Of course it's
Yeah,
long.
that takes a little longer. Yeah.
And let's continue. I'm just gonna change. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put it on
Okay, yeah.
me.
That's good. Put it on you.
2021 quashed. Ooh,
Quashed.
that sounds.
That sounds like you need a quash sound, like something getting squashed, like a bug. I don't know.
Oh, it could be. Oh, could be that one. 2021 quash.
Okay.
At the beginning of the trial, I quashed the appeal of the 2021 taxation year on the basis that Ms. Stern had not met a precondition for filing the appeal, as she had not filed a valid notice of objection.
Oh,
So
man.
in the law, I mean,
Okay.
this is a good example of Duralex said lex. So the law is hard, but it is a law. So you have to send your notice of objection, and if you don't,
If you don't do it,
you
that's
cannot
that.
go to the court.
There's nothing else
And
you can do.
that's quite logical because you want the CRA to know that you disagree, so they can fix it.
Yeah.
If you go directly to court, like you cannot circumvent the objection stage.
Yeah, like some things you just have to take care of your paperwork on time.
Yeah,
Otherwise, the window closes. That's it.
exactly.
Okay. All right.
And so 2021 was quashed.
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 Foreign tax credits, Germany and Switzerland.
Okay, we all of a sudden have Germany
Yeah,
here.
we have Germany now.
Okay.
So we have so far we have Canada, US, Switzerland, and Germany.
And now Germany, yeah.
That's quite international.
Very international. I feel very international right now. Very good.
The ability to claim a foreign tax credit comes from subsection 126.1 of the Income Tax Act. This
Indeed
is
it
a
does.
perfect citation.
Yes, perfection. Yes, excellent. We do love to see that subsection properly named. Yes. Good job.
Good job.
Good job.
Justice
Good job.
Supreme. That subsection contains a complex calculation.
Okay.
Okay, that's
Eh,
not
well-
that hard, but the problem I think with 126.1 is the circularity.
Yes, there.
Because
Yeah.
you kind of have to know the credit before you know the credit. So
Yeah. I remember there being some cognitive problems reading that thing.
Yeah.
So I would agree. It does have a.
and also the fact
I mean, the idea isn't that hard, but the execution is a bit hard.
and the credit is not the only thing because you have the deduction at subsection 2011 and 2012 that it's part of the reason why it's circular because if you cannot claim the full credit then it comes a deduction.
Oh, right.
The deduction is calculated before the credit, so you have to know the credit before you know the deduction. So that's really
Yeah.
what's
I'm
it
with
called? You know, the snake eating its tail.
The Ouroboros.
Ouroboros. Yeah.
Ouroboros. Yes, yes. We see that a lot, don't we? Actually, more
Yes.
often than we like.
And the same thing, I was reading this morning about part 12.2 tax, and you have the same problem where you have to know the tax before you calculate it.
I can't wait to hear all about your Part 12.2 tax. Maybe we should do just a podcast where you just tell us about the Part.
Oh yeah, I'm
12.2 tax.
I'm becoming an expert.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Somebody should. It's not me. It's not me. But yes,
And
we'll let you present your
I'm
paper. on it.
trying to do an example with 3 taxpayers,
Okay.
and nowhere in the literature is there an example with 3 different taxpayers.
Okay.
Because I want to have a different Part 13 tax rate, because Part 13 tax also comes in play with Part 12.2.
Okay. Well, then let's schedule a podcast.
Yeah,
and
eventually
we'll discuss
I'm
it.
doing a podcast. on
Okay. Good. On 12.2,
Well,
the
yeah.
untold story.
And 12 is like Roman numeral, and 2 is Arabic numerals.
Right.
So it's like
That's really cool.
XII
Yes.
point 2.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Lots
Okay,
of fun.
yeah.
Okay, we can do it.
So let's
Yeah.
go back to FTC. So
Okay.
I would really like to know in simple terms, what is a foreign tax credit?
Well, I
Let's-
think
oh.
Justice Graham is about to tell you.
In simple terms.
Nice.
The subsection allows a Canadian resident taxpayer to claim a credit against their tax otherwise payable in an amount equal to the non-business income tax paid by the taxpayer for the year to the government of a foreign country.
Okay.
The
That's
only
nice.
element of the calculation issue in this appeal is whether Ms. Stern paid tax to the government of a foreign country in the years in question.
Okay.
Yeah, of course, to claim a
yes.
credit, you must have paid a tax.
You have to pay a tax in order to get a foreign tax credit.
Striking.
So it's not striking. It's not even startling.
Surprising.
Not even a little bit surprising.
Okay, so the Minister of National Revenue.
Wait a minute, it's breaking news. It's breaking news. Breaking news. You have to pay tax in order to get a tax credit. Breaking news. You want to try it again? You can do it.
I have to change the camera.
I know you don't.
We have so many screens.
Okay, I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Breaking news. You have to pay a tax in order to get a credit for tax paid.
Huh. No national tax?
No notional tax. Well, I guess sometimes that can happen, but leave
Well,
that
not
aside.
in Canada.
Not okay.
At least.
There you go.
So the Minister of National Revenue made an assumption, the fact that
Okay.
no such tax was paid by Ms. Stern.
Huh.
Huh,
Okay.
why? The burden is on Ms. Stern to demolish that assumption.
Okay.
She has satisfied that burden.
Great.
She quashed
She
the assumption.
okay. She has to demolish it. She can't quash it. She has to demolish.
She came with a wrecking ball and she demolished it.
Just like a wrecking ball. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I heard the evidence of Ms. Stern's husband, Alexander Talalayevsky.
Talalayevsky. Yeah.
He manages the couple's investments and was more familiar with what had happened with Ms. Stern's accounts.
Okay.
I found Mr.
Talalayevsky.
Okay, is it me or is it?
It's Talalayevsky.
Okay, it's Alexander Talalayevsky.
I assume.
And now it's Mr. Talalayevsky.
Oh, you're right. You have good eyesight there. There was an extra A in one of them. But we don't know which one is right.
Maybe his name changed.
The next
in
time
between.
it changes back to with having an extra A. Talala.
So I think it's Talalayevsky.
It's Mr. T.
Mr. T, to be credible. Not sure his name was credible because we don't know how to spell it.
Yeah, we're not really sure now. Yes, but okay.
Based on Mr. T's evidence and the documentation that he provided, I am satisfied that A, withholding tax was paid to the government of Germany on dividend income earned on shares of German companies held by Ms. Stern's U.S. and Swiss accounts.
Okay, so hence Germany. Yeah.
Okay, so she's Canadian. She has accounts in the U.S. and Switzerland.
Yeah.
And she receives dividend income from Germany
Into
in a U.S. and Swiss account.
Yeah. So international.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the question is, why isn't she receiving this dividend directly in Canada?
I don't know the answer to that question. That's a good question. But it's not the question at issue in the case. The only issue on the case is whether tax was paid by Ms. Stern.
But I will diverge again.
Okay.
Just because it's fun.
Please.
And there is a fun beneficial ownership question here.
Yeah,
Is
I
that
see it right away.
How
Yes.
can this German company paying an account in Switzerland know that the beneficial owner is Canadian?
Yeah, how do they? And which treaty are they using? I mean, they should be using
Germany, Canada, but sending money to Switzerland.
But if they're sending it to Switzerland,
does it really ring a bell somewhere? Like, hey, by the way, this is a Canadian.
I
so
assume there's an information stream
yeah, I mean,
where Switzerland tells Germany that the account is held by a Canadian
is it
resident
reliable
of
enough?
Canada. Yeah, I assume. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a good question.
We've got a husky problem.
Well, probably not, but I don't know. I don't know.
It's possible.
Yeah.
If it's, I don't know if the German company is listed
I
in
think
the public
not, though.
exchange. Probably not. But if it is, like,
No, but I don't think we have a husky problem because I think Ms. Stern is the one paying that tax. That's what
It's
we're
a
about
withholding.
finding. Yeah,
so
it's just being
it's
deposited into a Swiss account, but the withholding is going from Germany to Canada. Like the withholding is being done
by
on
the
behalf-
German company
Yeah.
on behalf of Ms. Stern.
Yeah,
But are we sure that the German company, seeing a Switzerland bank account, knows that Ms. Stern is not Swiss?
yeah. I don't know. That's good. I don't know. the
I don't
answer
know.
to
I
that.
don't know.
Yeah.
If you know, like, comment, subscribe.
Share. Tell us. Explain it.
And B, withholding tax was paid to the government of Switzerland on dividend income earned on shares of Swiss companies held in Ms. Stern's Swiss account.
Okay.
So presumably, because there is a withholding, they know that the beneficial owner is not Swiss.
Not Swiss. Yeah, exactly.
I would
Yeah.
assume that.
Yeah.
I think it would be a fair assumption.
I think that's a fair assumption. Yes.
The respondent says that it is not enough that Ms. Stern showed that tax was withheld, but rather that Ms. Stern must show that she actually had to pay tax to Germany and Switzerland. The respondent argues that the only way for Ms. Stern to show that is to produce tax assessments from those countries.
Tax assessments from those countries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we don't. I'm guessing this is akin to the Part 13 tax in the ITA.
Right.
So usually
So
the
wouldn't
non-resident
be-
would just receive an NR4 at the
Yeah.
end of the year. I
Right.
mean, you will not file a T1 return
and
because
get a
it's
tax
not a Part
assessment.
1 tax, it's
Right.
a Part 13 tax. And there is no assessment with Part 13. So I would assume there is
Yeah, that's a
just
strange.
like a
yeah.
slip.
What's
somewhere.
going on here? Okay.
Okay, so the respondent's position is contrary to the Canada Revenue Agency's own policy.
Okay, this is never what you want to see if you're the government going into
Yeah.
court. You do not want to see the quote citing your own policy to tell you that your argument is inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, technically, it's not binding, of course, but the
Yeah, but
taxpayer
if-
relying on the folio.
It's not binding on the agency, but it's a policy that if you're going to argue against it, then why do you have that policy?
It's a good documentation to take into account.
Yeah, I think
if
so.
you're the
Yeah.
judge.
Yeah.
And this is an informal again. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So
Right.
Income Tax Folio S5F2C1 foreign tax credits sets out the documentary evidence that the CRA expects from a taxpayer claiming a foreign tax credit. Paragraph 1.45 specifically contemplates a situation like Ms. Stern's where income tax is withheld at source. It states that if a taxpayer's foreign tax liability is settled by an amount withheld by the taxpayer of the related income, that is in a way which is analogous to a tax under Part 13
yeah.
of the Act,
There you go.
a copy of the foreign tax information slip is usually satisfactory.
Well, there you go.
Like the equivalent to the NR4,
Yeah.
basically. In most other cases,
Yeah.
a copy of the tax return filed with the foreign government is required together with copies of receipt or document establishing payment. So if it's a Part 1 tax,
Then give
you
me your
need
tax
your
return.
assessment.
Yeah.
Of
yeah,
course.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Give me the assessment on your tax return. Exactly. Yeah.
Withholding taxes on dividend income is certainly analogous to tax under Part 13.
Exactly.
I mean, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
The respondent did not explain why the minister did not consider the foreign tax information slips provided by Ms. Stern to be satisfactory. It does not
Okay.
appear to have been because of concerns about their authenticity or accuracy. The respondent raised neither of those concerns when the slips were entered into evidence.
Okay. It's funny.
Okay, so what's the problem?
What's going on here? Yeah.
Mr. Talayevsky's testified that Ms. Stern does not have tax assessments from Germany or Switzerland because Ms. Stern earned very little
Right.
income in those countries, justify the expense of having the returns prepared. Well, I'm not sure you could even have returns
Yeah, that's a
prepared. If
funny
it's a Part
because.
13,
That's not the because I expected. The because I expected is
it doesn't
because
exist.
because she's a
She's a non-resident
Yeah.
having...
paying a withholding or having tax withheld
Yeah.
by somebody else. So she doesn't have to file is the point.
No, yeah. Well, maybe Mr. Talayevsky thought that he could do it, but it would be expensive. But he could not do it. It's not possible. Well, it's probably not possible.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the state of Germany's law.
Yeah, that's okay.
But I would be very surprised if you can.
Yeah, I mean, unless it's a refundable tax, I just don't see how you're doing
The respondent.
Okay, wait a minute. I could
Yeah.
see you could, if you think the withholding agent withheld at the wrong rate, then you could file.
But again, you're not
return.
filing a
What-
real
yeah,
Part
I
1
guess not
return. You're
really.
just filing, I think, what is it, an NR7 in Canada, where you ask for a refund?
Yeah.
There's a specific
So maybe
form
there's some-
which
yeah.
is not a tax return. That's
Yeah.
my point is that it's not a tax
Yes, I
return.
agree. Absolutely. That's right. I
So
agree.
the respondent took me to two decisions of this court that highlight the risks of relying on taxes withheld to determine whether a tax was paid to a foreign government. Arsovi versus the Queen
yeah.
and Zhang versus the Queen.
Okay.
A to Z.
I don't know either of these A to Z. I don't know either of these cases. Do you know either one of them?
I think I've heard the name Zhang before, but Arsovi, I have no idea.
Okay.
So we've got all those cases from A to Z.
A to Z. Look at all that.
In both those decisions, while taxes had initially been withheld, when the taxpayers filed their tax returns with the foreign government, it turned out that they did not have to pay any tax to the foreign government because they qualified for various credits.
Okay.
These cases stands for the proposition a taxpayer cannot claim a foreign tax credit if they did not in fact pay foreign tax.
Yeah, fine.
Or could not. Like if you... Okay, I'm going to give an example. Let's say you earn very little income in the summer from the U.S., for example.
Okay.
Like you're a summer camp monitor or something. It's very low. And if I'm not mistaken,
Okay, great example. Great
like
example.
the tax camp, for example.
Yeah, tax camp.
If you go to tax camp,
There's like 3 students there. They're all like, "Why am I here?
well, I went to tax camp.
Stop it!"
It was an.
Stop it.
It was the event last year with Brigitte Alpin and Linda Tulip.
Camp?
It was called a camp.
Okay, but did you sleep in a tent?
It was a hostel. And honestly, I would have preferred the tent.
I will say
I would have
pretty
preferred
close.
a tent. Like, I still have nightmares about this first hostel in Paris.
Where did you this is not a great endorsement for wherever you stayed. This is not brought to you by whatever hostel this is. So where do you remember what it was called?
It was in Paris.
Okay.
And I will not say anything because I might get a lawsuit for defamation in the next couple of hours if I give more details.
1 star, 2 stars. Anyway, you preferred to be in a tent, but you were at tax camp.
Yeah.
In any event, your example, which has gone wholly off the rails here, your example is that I'm going to earn just a little bit by being a
And
tax
so-
camp counselor.
And so
In the US.
in the treaty, there's like a de minimis amount when
Yeah.
you don't have to pay taxes in the
it's
US.
10,000
and-
still.
Yeah, 10,000. Yeah. Should be adjusted for inflation.
Yeah,
you
it
know.
never got adjusted.
Should be like $1 million or
yeah,
something.
right.
And so imagine that you just don't care about the treaty. And
Yeah.
You tell your employer, like, do the withholding. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, you're like, okay, but I paid like $2,000 in US tax. I will claim it. Well, the CRA could say, well, you chose to pay this tax. It wasn't mandatory because you could have got relief
Yeah,
because of the treaty.
That's
so
right.
I will not credit you.
that's right. Yeah.
Because if we were to credit you, it's like subsidizing the U.S. government.
Exactly.
But we actually agreed with the U.S. government that we would not like give credits.
Right.
Because there is no tax payable.
Absolutely right. Right.
So
So in that case, you do not want Canada giving a tax credit if you weren't supposed to pay tax in the other jurisdiction.
Yeah.
You can't voluntarily pay tax in other jurisdiction, then have Canada pick up the tab.
if you voluntarily pay tax, you don't get the credit.
No credit. Yeah. Okay.
They do not, however, stand for the proposition that taxpayers must provide foreign tax assessments in order to claim foreign tax credits.
Yeah, that seems evident.
Yeah,
to
sure.
me.
I mean,
yeah.
there would be no way to provide a tax assessment for a
Yeah.
part to
It's strange that I'm just trying to figure out why the minister would bring this case.
Oh, maybe that's not the argument of the minister, and I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, let's keep going.
Looking at the evidence as a whole, I am satisfied that Ms. Stern paid withholding tax to both Germany and Switzerland in the following amounts in the following years calculated as follows.
Okay, and then we have a table with a whole bunch of.
Okay.
Okay, so now we see the full amount. It's like a couple thousand a year.
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
like what?
2, 3, 4, about
2.4
4,000.
K Germany, 1.5 Swiss, 2.6 Germany, 1.8 Swiss.
So now we see why we're in an informal.
It's a very small case.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how much money is that? Like, she paid.
Well, about I would say about 4,
10,
8, 12, about 12
yeah,
across the.
kind of small.
Yeah.
Ms. Stern recognizes that both Germany and Switzerland withheld tax at a rate greater than the 15% rate prescribed by Canada's respective tax treaties with those countries. She is not seeking to recover the excess,
What?
just the 15% she is entitled to. Can someone explain to me why the
What?
withholding agent withhold more than 15?
Okay, now we do have a little mystery here in this case.
It
It is a mystery. Where's the X Files? Oh no, that's the one. What? Oh, that's mysterious.
Is it what the practitioners are warning us about with Husky? That everyone would withhold at 25? Is that it? Oh.
Interesting.
Is that it?
I wonder. Mysteries of the universe.
So
Okay.
the treaty says it's 15, but it was withheld at 25. Why?
Well, it doesn't actually say that. It says rate greater than 15.
Well, I'm guessing the statutory rate of those countries,
Whatever it
which
is.
might be 25. I'm guessing it's 25.
Huh. Okay.
Well, can it? No, we don't.
I know exactly. We don't
I would
have.
like to know.
I know. Well, let's keep going. Maybe there's more. No, I think
Based
there's
on
not
the
probably
evidence provided to me, the following is my calculation of the dividend income Ms. Stern earned on shares in German and Swiss companies in the years in questions.
more. Okay, we might be able to figure out this
Based
rate here. So
my calculation. So the judge made a calculation. This.
my calculation. Oh wow. Okay, so the judge is doing a little back of the envelope math here, and showing.
So 9.6.
Okay.
She receives from German.
And the
She
rate
pays
was 2.4. Okay,
So
so
that's quite
25%. Yeah, exactly.
And 4.5, she
And
paid one. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
25.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
okay, so those companies are withholding at 25 no matter what.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. Strange.
I'm just surprised that people are not getting in the street and just demonstrating against those governments taking all those taxes.
Withholding at a non-treaty rate.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe they are.
maybe there
doing-
is some confusion about
Yeah.
like who is supposed to be the.
Oh, but maybe because the beneficial owner is not in the same country as the account, maybe that triggers like
Maybe that-
a
maybe that's
warning
it.
somewhere, a red flag.
The account isn't a person, so it's not like you're trying to say somebody else. Or maybe it is. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah, but that beneficial ownership, even if the account is in my name, if the beneficial owner is a Swiss national, presumably this person has the treaty rate with Switzerland.
Yeah.
The beneficial ownership and agency brings a whole lot of
A
questions.
whole nother level of questioning.
I still
yeah.
don't know how agency works with that beneficial ownership.
Well, you're about to find out, I think. Yeah.
Okay, I will order the minister to recalculate Ms. Stern's foreign tax credit, taking the above withholding taxes and dividend income into account.
Oh, they're gonna let her have the entire credit.
Yeah.
What?
What? No, she cannot have more than 15. It's the
It
treaty
cannot
rate.
be more than the. Okay.
I think this
To
is a very vague
recalculate-
order.
Yeah, this is
To
strange. Okay.
recalculate foreign tax credits.
Taking the above withholding taxes.
Okay, but there's a problem with. Okay, I understand. I think why the tax court is doing this. It's because the calculation in the foreign tax credit depends on the tax otherwise payable under this part. So because we don't know the income in Canada of Ms. Stern, we don't actually know her tax rate.
Okay.
So if she pays 9% tax, for example, because all she receives is like a little dividend income, then she cannot claim the full 15. She will just get 9.
Okay.
So maybe that's why.
Okay. Strange.
Okay, withholding tax paid to Canada.
Okay.
Okay, now I'm curious. She's Canadian and she paid a Part 13 tax. How is that possible?
Now it's starting to get a little shady. Like something's funny. Okay.
Inconceivable!
Not yet.
So Ms. Stern used her Swiss account to invest in shares in various Canadian public companies. Since Ms. Stern's account was outside of Canada, when those companies paid dividends, Canadian withholding tax was applied. What?
Okay.
But you pay to the shareholder, not to.
Yeah, that's what I'm having a hard time understanding it because, like, my understanding of withholding is that the withholding rate is assessed on the taxpayer, not on the account.
Like on the proper treaty, because if
Yeah.
not, it's killing.
Yes, exactly. Okay.
So, based on Mr. Talayevsky's evidence and the following documentation that he provided, I am satisfied that Ms. Stern paid the following Canadian withholding tax. So she paid like 1,000 something bucks.
Okay.
So that's not a lot, but still.
Okay.
She's Canadian and she has shares in like companies on the TSX in Switzerland. It's not a huge amount. It's 1,000 bucks. Why would you do this?
I don't think I don't think there was some good tax planning here. I don't know. I don't actually know.
Maybe we should ask Mr. Talayevsky
Yeah,
because he
yeah.
was managing those accounts.
Yeah.
Ms. Stern recognizes that these amounts do not qualify for foreign tax credits because they were not paid to a foreign government. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, clearly.
She just wants the minister to acknowledge that she paid the tax. She argues, and I agree, that if the minister does not give her credit for the Canadian tax that she has already paid, she will be subject to double taxation.
Okay.
But how come it is not taken
She's
into account when she pays her Part 1 tax? Like, I already paid this amount. Ms. Stern did not direct me to any provision of the ITA that would entitle her to reduce her income on account of withholding taxes paid to the government of Canada. Well, it's Part 13 tax paid in error.
Uh, e- I'm actually puzzled by this. I'm actually puzzled by what on earth is going on here. Do you think it's possible that she had a nominee or an agent in Switzerland, and that's why all of this is happening?
Maybe.
That there's a withholding, and the withholding is like, because if there's a withholding, then the withholding agent either withheld at 25%, which seems possible. Let's see, she had.
We
Well,
don't
he
know.
doesn't tell
It's
us.
just like
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
But it's probably 25, I'm guessing, because if you
not
don't
a
know,
treaty rate.
if you don't know which treaty to
Not,
apply, you
well, the
would just buy 25.
Canada-Swiss treaty, if they're talking about the Swiss account.
Yeah, but who's the beneficial owner?
Well, so that's the thing. That's why I'm saying, like, it's a little bit confusing, and it could be a Husky issue in the sense that if you nominate an agent or you name a nominee or agent in Switzerland.
I'm very curious. I want to go back to the law.
Okay, let's do
Because
it.
I
Why
actually
not?
wonder if it could be right. Like, is the outcome right that she pays this tax?
So after Husky, it's possible that yes,
So I
because
wouldn't make
under 212, because the way that Justice Woods left it, 212 is to be read as the agent. Look, non-resident
agent.
person, the agent shall pay an income tax of 25%
I will-
when they receive income from a Canadian source.
So I will assume that she has an agent in Switzerland.
Yeah, I think
And I think that's a fair assumption
that
because if
seems
she
like-
has an account, she probably has an agent. Probably.
honestly, I have no idea.
I don't know.
But
Every non-resident person shall pay an income
Yeah.
tax. She's not a non-resident herself.
no, but the agent is,
But-
and Justice Woods has left Husky in that place where the agent is themselves subject to 212.
Yeah, because if you go back, it's 212. It's further in 212.
Yeah, no, they don't even mention agents or nominees in
No,
212,
but
right?
there's a provision that contemplates an agency relationship
In the withholding?
in the withholding.
tax?
Oh, is it 215?
Yes, yeah. So
It's
go to
215,
215, which is the obligation of the withholding agent. When a person pays an amount, they shall deduct or withhold on behalf of the person on account of the tax and submit a remittance, a statement in prescribed form.
And you have. Oh, here we go. 215.3. Where an amount on which an income tax is payable under this part was paid or credited to an agent or other person for on behalf of the person entitled to payment without the tax having been deducted, the agent or other person shall, notwithstanding any agreement, deduct or withhold from the amount of the tax and forthwith remit the amount to receiver general. So now you have this weird treaty question,
Yeah.
which kind of circumvents 212
Uh-huh.
because you're paying to a foreign agent. And you're like, wait a minute, who's the beneficial owner if I'm paying to a Swiss national?
Yeah, but so sub 3 is positing the possibility, which shouldn't happen after. I mean, it's a little bit Parliament speaking in vain here if you interpret it the way Justice Woods did, because if you interpret Justice Woods, if you use Justice Woods' interpretation in 212, then the withholding tax should be paid when an amount is paid to an agent, so that you would never be in the situation that you are here in 3, where an income tax was paid or credited without the tax having been deducted or withheld.
Well, I think yes, because there are multiple agents. I will go back to the case. You have you have shares on the TSX.
Yeah.
The company is not going to withhold. It's going to give the list to Computer Shares,
That's
and
right.
Computer Shares is going to withhold. So
That's right.
Computer Shares is the agent of the company on the TSX.
Yeah,
So Computer Shares has to do the withholding.
that's right.
And now Computer Shares, looking at the list of shareholders, sees a nominee in Switzerland. So
That's it.
Thinks that the person is in Switzerland, but the beneficial owner is Canadian. So under
Yes, you're right.
Under-
You're absolutely
if,
right.
If
Yes.
Justice Goyette is right in Husky,
Sorry, I keep saying Woods, but it
It's
was
Goyette,
Goyette.
yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
if Justice Goyette is right in Husky, that means that no treaty can apply because the beneficial owner is not a Swiss national.
right.
So
Yeah.
Part 13 tax applies at 25%.
That's right.
That makes no sense.
Yeah. So, but you're right. This is showing us what happens if the recipient of an amount is an agent and they're going to now pay it to somebody foreign, like
Yeah.
computer share. That's what 212 sub 3 is doing. So that's what could have happened here, is that somebody paid to a Swiss agent and said, well, I got to withhold because it's a Swiss agent, even though the beneficial owner is Stern.
Okay, but now my question for Stern is, couldn't she just ask for a refund
Well,
of Part
exactly.
13 tax?
Exactly. That's what
Like, it just seems fair.
I'm so puzzled by it. I just don't get it. Like, so instead of asking for a refund, what she did was she tried to use the Canadian tax withholding as the Canadian tax against which the foreign tax withholding could be credited.
Yeah.
That's what she tried
I
to do.
don't think there is any provision saying that.
And
Like,
so
I
they
would be
just
very surprised.
they just what, like, filled it in
Yeah.
by hand, and it's just not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
That is not how this works. So therefore, no, says Justice Graham, right?
And Justice Graham is like, she just wants the minister to know that she paid
Yeah,
tax.
yeah, because okay, I think we figured it out. So her point is, hey, I filed my foreign tax credit showing I paid to withholding tax to Germany and Switzerland, and here, take this credit, take this foreign tax and credit against the Canadian tax I paid on this Canadian withholding. And the court is like, hey, no, that's not how the law works. That's not how that works.
Okay, and so Ms. Stern did not direct me to any provision of the ITA, but I would be very surprised if a self-represented litigant is like, it's like 212, 3A, I wanted to lie.
Yeah, you can understand totally her idea. Like, her idea makes sense. She's like, I
makes
paid
sense.
this, here's this pot of Canadian tax I paid. Can you give me a credit for that foreign tax against this and not make me pay this? And the court is like, no, that's not how we calculate it, I guess.
It seems to me that Ms. Stern is, in essence, seeking a refund on the basis that she has overpaid her taxes for those years. The application of Canadian taxes withheld at source to reduce the tax owing by a taxpayer is a matter for judicial review. It is not within the jurisdiction of this court.
Sorry, I'm confused.
What?
Is a matter for judicial review. Does he mean not?
Well,
I'm
in
confused.
order to have a judicial review, you must have a decision by the minister. But she never submitted an application to get her taxes refunded.
Okay, but so wait, but I'm not understanding. Judicial review means the court.
The federal court reviewing a decision of the minister.
Yeah. So the allocation of Canadian taxes withheld at source to reduce the tax owing by a taxpayer is a matter for judicial review, not within the jurisdiction of this court.
Yeah. So what Justice Graham is saying is go to the federal court.
Because the tax court can't do this because you don't have a decision of the minister? No.
Well, even with
I'm
a decision
very
of the
confused.
minister, it would not be.
It would have to still go to federal court? Because
Well,
it's
is
an
it really
administrative review?
Is it a discretionary power of
Is
the
it a
CRA?
Vavilov thing?
Yeah.
Administrative. I'm so confused.
I'm a bit confused. I'm
totally
a bit confused.
I have no
here.
idea. Okay.
Okay, let's reread. It seems to me that Ms. Stern is in essence seeking a refund on the basis that she has overpaid her taxes for those years.
The
Well,
application,
She's seeking a refund of the Part 13
Yes.
tax assessed in error. The application
Yes.
of Canadian taxes without at source to reduce the tax owing by a taxpayer. The application of Canadian taxes without at source to reduce the tax owing by a taxpayer is a matter for judicial review.
Okay. All right. So
I don't see it the same way. I see it as being you have to apply for a refund of Part 13 tax. And I think the tax court is still in the optic of, well, apply my taxes against what I owe you.
Exactly. The taxpayer wants a set off.
Yeah.
And the court is saying, no, the only thing that we're doing in this court here is determining whether the minister correctly denied you the tax credit on grounds that you didn't show an assessment. That is what is being
Well,
disputed here.
And
Okay.
I just don't think that's the correct way, because I'm looking at the CRA forms.
Yeah. Okay.
And you have the NR7. The NR7, and I'm showing it on screen.
Yeah.
And then we just, I cannot lower it.
It's the crop on the thing. So just you just gotta live with it.
The NR7 is the application for refund of Part 13 tax withheld. And so, reasons for refund.
Okay.
I'm Canadian. Is it a way?
You could put entitled for another reason.
Yeah. Could you do that? Could
Okay,
you
Canadian
ask?
payer agent, registered owner, or nominee, custodian, beneficial owner. There you go. Look at entitled for another reason, and then down below it says beneficial owner. So you could maybe say, so reasons, the beneficial owner is entitled for another reason, beneficial owner. I mean, what else can it be? That's what it is, right?
Oh, residents of Canada, attach the NR4 slips or
you
Canadian
go.
tax slips to your T1. If third-party participants were not involved in the transaction, if your return is already processed, send an amendment request. You must
With the
complete
tax-
the
yeah.
NR4 7R application if you do not have an NR4 tax slip issued in your name or a third party participated in the transaction.
Okay.
So it seems to me
So-
that that's the correct way.
Nice. Okay, exactly. So, in other words, the decision that the minister has taken is to deny the foreign tax credit because,
No tax
in their
paid.
view, there was no tax assessment and she required a tax assessment. That is what the court is being asked to decide. And in the course of deciding that, the taxpayer is saying, hey, by the way, also, can you
Can you acknowledge
Yes.
that I paid those taxes?
set my tax credit off against my Canadian tax withheld at source? And the court says, that's not my job here because you don't have a decision of the minister and that's not what we're doing here. So you got to get out of here with that. I wonder if she understands that. I wonder if Ms. Stern knows that she needs to file that. So Ms. Stern, if you're out there, file your, what did you call that thing? Your form?
NR7.
NR7, your application for refund of tax withheld, and file it on the basis, presumably, that you're the beneficial. This is not tax advice, by the way.
This is not tax advice, okay? So everything you've heard so far is not tax advice. So, Ms. Stern, if you are watching this is not tax advice. Consult a lawyer before doing anything we've said on this.
Yeah, you might want to. Yeah. But
This is just hypothetical,
Yeah.
educational purpose only.
But I do see what's going on in the case is that Justice Graham is saying, it seems to me that Ms. Stern is in essence seeking a refund. Correct, that's right. She's saying,
Yes.
hey, I overpaid here, could you just offset it there? And that's not how we do refunds on withheld tax when you're Canadian. Instead, you got to file this NR7 form. That's how you're going to do it. He didn't tell her that, but maybe he told her that in court.
Maybe.
Maybe
maybe the
somebody
government
explained it.
is gonna
Let's
be
hope
like-
somebody explained it to Ms. Stern. We do like people to know how to do things. I mean, this is fairly complicated stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
It seems quite unfair to be like, hey, you paid those taxes.
Yeah.
It was under the wrong part of
Yeah,
the act.
right.
So too bad for you. You pay
Yeah.
double tax.
You pay double tax.
Like, that's not
Clearly
how it
that's not-
works.
Exactly. That's not how it works. Instead, she needs to file a T1 that includes all of that income and pay tax at her Canadian progressive rates as a resident and use the foreign tax against that and not try to use it against these withheld amounts.
Well,
Okay.
I just wonder, presumably, if she had done the T1 and the NR7 in the same envelope, would the CRA just offset the two? I mean, is the CRA going to
practically-
send you a check and ask for money back? Like,
Yeah, practically, I suppose
Yeah.
it could be. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
so other adjustments. The minister also reassessed Ms. Stern to impose late filing penalties in 2022 and to deny carrying charges she claimed in 23 and 24. Ms. Stern does not dispute those adjustments.
Okay.
So, okay, why are we even talking about this?
Because those aren't going to be adjusted. I'm not actually sure. That's a good question. Not really
Signed
sure.
this 9th day of July, 2026, David Graham.
Great.
And
that's
let's
it.
go back. I just wonder. So, and we had Marie-Josée Hug,
Agent for the
counsel for
appellant.
respondent Jean Murray.
Oh,
Agent was Mr. Talayevsky.
huh.
So she was represented by Mr. T.
Mr. T. Yeah.
So it's not totally self-represented.
Okay.
Okay, and what is the judgment? The appeal of the assessment is
Is
quashed,
quashed.
2021. The appeal of the assessment of the appellant's 2022 taxation is allowed, and the assessment is referred back to the Minister of National Revenue for reconsideration and reassessment on the basis that the appellant was entitled to a foreign tax credit in respect of withholding tax she paid to Germany in the amount of 2,400 in the year in respect of 9.6 in dividend earned on shares of German companies.
Yeah.
But if
The full amount, like she's entitled to withholding tax.
but she's
credit.
not. She's not entitled more than 15 for
Yeah.
sure. Even if there was no treaty, subsection 2011 would make
Yeah, but
the 10% a deduction.
Okay, but notice the judge doesn't say and entitled to a foreign tax credit of.
No.
Entitled to a foreign tax credit in
In
respect,
respect
of
of blah.
tax she paid in this amount on that amount of dividends. And the fact that you would only be able to take it up to 15% or whatever the treaty rate is, that's up to the statute too.
I'm just thinking right now it's going to be very confusing when the CRA is going to reassess her.
Yeah.
And she's going to be like, wait a minute, the court said I could have my $2,000.
Exactly.
And the court,
Right. I could see it. Yeah.
and the CRA will be like, we do the calculation according to the law.
Yeah. Yeah. And the withholding tax. And then, okay.
And
what
same
else?
thing for the other 2 years. So it's the same wording.
Okay.
with different
And so
ones.
maybe that last bit is just to say, and not, it leaves undisturbed those penalties, the late filing and the other
Yeah,
stuff.
okay.
Just leave that alone. But I'm only judging, changing this. Okay, well, it was a short and sad saga for
Look how
Ms. Stern.
fast this is. The appeal is heard on June 30th,
Yeah.
2026. Like 2 weeks later,
Went
she
home
gets
and
the
wrote
judgment.
the judgment. Yeah, went home and wrote the
I'm
wrote
quite
the judgment.
impressed.
I'm very impressed. Straightforward
Yeah.
analysis, straightforward problem, I guess. The only thing that I think there's law here is that question about what is the proof you need to show that you paid the foreign tax, and I'm still puzzled why the CRA would want more than the tax slip if their own policy says the tax slip is sufficient. If they have a reason to believe you got a credit against it or somehow you got that money back, I guess, I don't know how you would form that belief.
Maybe that's just because the rate was not the treaty rate, so they were like, "How come you pay 25 even though the treaty says 15? What did you get a refund?"
Maybe
that's
there
the
was
question.
questions. Yeah, or maybe the thing was, maybe the tax slip was addressed to somebody else. For example, an
the
agent.
possible.
Yeah.
And I'm quite
But nothing got-
surprised.
Well, the judge relied on the testimony of Mr. T.
I'm
So-
quite surprised by how sophisticated the question is.
Yeah.
And how small the amount is.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd think someone having
I
a
know.
Swiss account.
That they would have some help.
Yeah.
They would have some sense of what they were doing.
I mean,
Yeah.
it kind of feels like not very sophisticated taxpayers coming up with this kind of sophisticated plan, and they don't actually
Yeah.
know what's going on.
It's a little dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Also,
But yeah.
I mean, if you receive like $2,000 in dividend from company listed on the TSX, like put it in your TFSA
I know.
or RSP. There
Yeah,
is
what are you
no
doing?
need to put it in Switzerland. I don't. Maybe they just inherited this. I don't know.
Who knows? Anything could have happened. But good job reading, and we'll see what happens next.
It was short and sweet.
Short and sweet. Yep.
So
Thanks
thank
for-
you, everyone.
yes, thanks.
That was the Tax Files.
Thanks everybody who joined us, and see you next time.
To switch to number 2.
Yep. Nice. Thank you. Thanks everybody. I think you have to. Oh.
I'm just playing with the camera like that. I can do a zoom.
We can hang out. That's fine. I don't mind.
I felt they did that in the X Files.
I don't. They had a camera person that did all of that. Yeah. Yeah. You got. It's
Okay.
very extreme close up.
Okay, bye everyone.
See ya.
See you.